right? So you start sharing all your accolades or the things you did in the past or who you were with the other day and but whatever, right? And then it could come across like it's overdone, overqualification. You know what I like to think about when stuff like that can happen? Overqualify yourself in your quiet. When you're doing your meditation, if you have a good practice, when you're doing your prayer, when you're in your gratitude, when you're in your quiet places by yourself, that is when we feed ourselves. That is when we do that champion dialogue with you. So that when you walk into the space, you realize that if you've been put there, you're supposed to be there. Now it's time to be an active listener, an active observer, a witness, so that you can understand why, more of the why. And then I think that if you learn to be more present with your body, more present with your intuition, you will know when to speak or when not to speak. Such a powerful thing. I didn't even expect to start off with that today, but that is another powerful skill when we're talking about interpersonal skills, which is our ability to communicate ourselves, our ability to articulate what it is that we desire, what it is that we need to say, our heart space, our dreams, our ideas, in our personal lives and in our professional lives. It's about communication. Communication is also about listening. It's not just about talking. Gosh. Okay, we already popping off. Okay. What up, y'all? I know I have already started. Oh my goodness. Yes, you can share this, Taalik. It would be a pleasure for you to share it. Hey, Latoya, welcome to the conversation, darling. Darius says, oh my God, I sang one of your demos some years ago with Melanie Daniels. Really? That sounds interesting. Good morning, Carrie. I hope you're doing well, darling. Pharaoh, what up? Welcome to the conversation. Hey, Madden. Sometimes better than all the rest. Hello, I like that, Mark. Facts on facts. Bless up. Let's be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I'm telling you, it's one of the most things you can practice is getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Because so many times we do so much with our body, with our mouths, with everything because we don't know what to do with this energy. And sometimes harnessing that energy requires your stillness. Remember, I will teach you guys about using your body as a meditation. In those moments where you don't know what to do with that active excess energy, right now, while I'm talking to you, practice this, okay? While I'm talking to you, I want you to put your attention in your feet. As a matter of fact, be even more specific. I don't want you to move it, okay? Just know that it's there. Put your attention, your conscious awareness on your right foot right now, all right? Now, you still have your eyes open, right? You can still hear me with your ears. You're still even conscious to what I'm saying. You're able to understand, right? Make out what I'm saying, right? There's no problem with being able to communicate with me and hear me, but you still have your conscious awareness on your right foot. I don't want you to move your foot. Just know that it's there. Now that you've brought your attention with your eyes open and listening to me to your right foot, what does it feel like? Can you feel the space in your foot? Can you feel the life force energy that's buzzing in your foot, even though you're not moving it? Because it's just letting you know you're alive. There's space there. A lot of the times we don't even realize the space that's there because we're not putting conscious awareness on it. And the second that you put your attention there, you feel that space. You don't have to move it. You just know that it's there. Hasn't that produced stillness in you to be aware of that while still listening to me? Communicate with me. Keep your conscious awareness on your foot while you type out your response. While you're still listening to me, keep your conscious awareness in that part of your body. Now, while you're still listening to me and you're still responding, if you're typing something out, your response to me, also put your conscious awareness on your left foot. So now both spaces have your conscious attention. Okay? You don't have to move them. Just be aware that they're there. Be aware of the space in your feet while you talk to me, while you listen to me, while you type to me. I'm doing the same thing right now. And it's almost like if I could describe it, it's a meditative state. It's a meditative space. I'm in a space while I'm still present. It's Very powerful place to be. So when you feel things like you want to access calm, or you want to at least access more peace, or just a split second more of a breath before you respond, because that you never know. That split second before you respond, if you take that breath, it could stop you from saying the next thing you're going to say. And or it could help you to prep which you've just heard, which might change what you're going to say. There's so much that can happen when you give yourself space to respond. Space in your body, space via taking breaths, space via the power of pausing. What you can do with that excess energy. This is what you do with that nervous energy. Use your body meditation. Use your breath as a tool. Take deep breaths. If you got to count the breaths in, 1, 2, 3, exhale, 1, 2, 3. You don't have to say it out loud. Just have this space within yourself and then stay present. You're still present. You can still hear me. I am still present. I'm still talking to you, and I'm doing exactly what I'm instructing you to do. It is one of the most powerful practices I have used in being able to more control of myself in a moment. This is a great tool to use while you're trying to have better interpersonal skills, better connection, better communication with others and with yourself. Bless up. Let me see what you're saying. Hey, Julia. Hey, darling, you have a blessed day as well, doing the champion dialogue with yourself. Love it. Man, that champion dialogue is so gangster. That's something that we learned to put together at PPU. Landis, welcome. I'm so late. I'm sure what the topic is. It's about the importance of relationships, interpersonal skills, developing them, knowing their importance. Hey, Kevin. Damien says being adaptable. Successful people, successful relationships, and successful businesses are made up of people who have learned to be great at adapting to change circumstances and situations. Speak. The good thing is that adaptability can be learned. One thing I've read, absolutely. Do you choose it? Right? The power of the pause. Come on, Tiffany. Come on, hashtag queen. Julia says you can't wait until life isn't hard anymore before you decide to be happy. Pain positions you for your purpose. Speak. Come on. Drop these beautiful nuggets in here. Drop these beautiful nuggets in here. Chantiel just decided to share another resource that I was going to share with you today. How many of you own the book, whether in physical form or audio form, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie? Hey, Alex, welcome. How to Win Friends and Influence People. How many of you all own that book, whether in physical form, paperback, hardcover, or audiobook, Kindle, whatever? Do you have that book in your possession by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People? This is a resource I want you to take. Whenever you come to Morning Talks with Ro, I want to give you guys something that I want to give you practical tools to use. It's not about just, coming in here and fluffing over some motivational things. I want you to have things that you're like, hey, I listened to that talk today and I'm going to go practice this. I'm going to see if it works in my life. I'm going to see if this stuff works. That's what I like about the walk that I've been on. I'm like, how do I put this motivation stuff to science, behavioral science? I want to give things to myself and to other people that you can actually use to create the thing we're talking about. How do we get to excellence? Yes, it's a great term, but what do we practice? What do we need to do? What's the mindset? What's the habits? What is it? What do I need to do? Let's dig in, right? Oh, I appreciate you too, Alex. Hey, Shirley, welcome, babe. Good to see you. Carrie says, I can really use the power of pausing, and I feel more centered when focusing on my feet. Good. I have had a lot of anxiety lately, and it's been hard to control at times. I will be thinking about the power of pausing. Bless. Using your body as a meditation can be incredibly powerful. Another resource for you, Carrie, in particular, and anybody else that wants to use it. Megahertz. You can find them all over YouTube. Okay. MEGAMHERTZ, megahertz. Go and find them. There's like 417, there's 528, you name it. Go through them, take your time, chill, get you a cup of your thing in the morning or whatever, okay? And sit there and listen to them and see what resonates with your spirit, if anything. It is a great way to also induce relaxation. Remember, which is of habit, and we can also put triggers in our environment. How do we put triggers in our environment? We program ourselves with triggers. How do we program ourselves with triggers? Okay, there's a couple things you can do. There's something called, well, gosh, how many ways do I want to approach it? Let's take bite-sized chunks, chip away. There's something called a peak state. I talk about this in my book, Saving Your Soul. Okay. How do we put ourselves in a peak state? It's when we can, first and foremost, a peak state is if you thought about something on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being less, 10 being the greatest. You want to be at a 10 if possible. Okay. So the point of getting into a peak state is finding what in yourself can generate that response from you. When you generate something from within, that means you are grabbing from what's already with you to produce that state of mind, to produce that energetic state, right? So you may think on something. What is your vision for yourself? What do you really, really desire, right? This is just an example. What do you really, really desire for yourself? Can you feel what that would feel like to have it? What would you look like? The more detail you can give it, the better, because we need the details to help us to dive into the vision, which in turn can produce the emotions that you might feel around it. And once you can grab a hold of those emotions, allow yourself to continue to stay in the vision, amplify the vision, make it more and more real for you with the details. And as you can grasp more of the details, you can grasp more of this higher vibrational state of being, this peak state. When you get into this peak state, whatever is happening with you can be programmed to be a trigger. I'll give you an example on two sides of the coin. You can get negative triggers in a peak state. You can get positive triggers in a peak state. One of the things that happened to me when a negative trigger was created in a peak state, right? I was mourning the loss of my business partner, right? I was in a peak state of energy, but it was grief. Grief, it can be a peak state. Stress is a peak state, can be a peak state. Anxiety can be a peak state. So, be mindful of that. Yeah. Okay. So this high vibration, well, we won't call it high, it's low, but it's strong. Low vibrational energy, but it's strong, right? So anytime you got a strong response to something, that's a peak state. When you're in high anger, that's a peak state. When you're completely stressed out, it's a peak state. So things that are happening around you could, if you do it often enough, right? That's another thing. That's the grace that we get, that you got to be a creature of habit to create the trigger, right? But if it's a strong enough peak state, sometimes that trigger can be created immediately. So for example, with me, when I was grieving my business partner, the Mariah Carey song, whenever I hear it, I know what it is. It's like some Wings song. It's kind of melancholy to me, but for somebody else, it probably feels amazing. But it happened to be on at his funeral. They used it as his processional, right? Like for his funeral. And I was so sad at that time that every time I hear that song, it reminds me of him. It's a trigger. I can't just hear the song now and it doesn't make me think of that. There's another song that happened. It was with CeeLo Green, Bright Lights, Big City. That song totally takes me back to that time. It's a trigger. So this is the same thing you can do with megahertz. You put yourself in a state of relaxation. You turn it on all the time. Then whenever you turn that music on, and even to your subconscious mind, you may not even be consciously thinking about it, but it will start to induce that feeling of relaxation because you've coupled that music with peace so often. Coupled that music with peace so often. Coupled that music with relaxation so often, so often. So often, so often, so often, so often, so often, so often. Another resource. Watch this video. What the bleep do we know? It talks about neural connectors. All of this stuff can work for you or against you. It's just a matter of what choices you're making and where you're putting your focus and how you're using this. It's just like the law of attraction. It's no respecter of persons. You can use the law for good. You can use the law for bad. How are you using all this energy that is constantly around you, that you're constantly generating? Right? Very powerful. So Hopefully that gives you both sides of the coin as far as creating triggers and peak state. Let me see what you guys are saying. I know I've been running off at the mouth. Lots of good information though. What the bleep do we know? Great video to watch about that stuff. Programming yourself, right? For success. Hey, Monisha. Julia says, just want to thank you for these lives on Facebook. I replay them for my 13-year-old daughter. And she just loves being able to put what you say into practice as she grows into herself. Bless up. Awesome time to plant these kinds of amazing seeds. Wow. Right? Megahertz, writing it here so I can look them up. Have fun, Carrie. Finding ones that resonate, write them down and start to listen to them and use your body as a meditation. You can take this body meditation all the way up to your crown. You can start with your feet. Keep the attention and awareness on your feet. Feet are still activated because you've brought your attention there. Then you can go up to your calves and the front of your calves, right? Your shins. And now your leg is activated with your conscious awareness. Feel the space in there. Feel the life force energy. Usually if you just put you can feel its spaciousness and it has like a slight buzz. It's just you being alive. And you finally are putting your attention there, right? Go up to your knees while everything else is still activated. Bring this awareness up your entire body while you deep breathe. With relaxation, turn on your megahertz. Do this consistently. You just started to create a great trigger for you. See, this is creating a supportive environment. A support system is not just people. Okay. You can find them also on Spotify. Okay, great, Shirley. I've been looking. It was a lot of commercials and stuff, so I don't know, going to YouTube. But great. Yes, love my megahertz. I know it. Come on, PPU strong. Stillness is power. When we walk the path, I know I'm a bit behind you guys. The path is on the way. Nelijah, welcome, darling. All of the tools I've learned from you most definitely work. Laugh out loud. The application of those tools have been life-changing. And good morning, honey. Grand rising. Bless up. Love that testimonial. Monisha, I'm wonderful. I'm doing great. I got my morning drink on deck. Y'all got your morning drink? Armani, welcome, darling. Spread your wings and prepare to fly, for you have become a butterfly. Hello. That might be that song. Is that Mariah Carey song? Norris, welcome to the conversation. Lamarco, what's up, brother? Energy is everything. Energy is everything. Holly says, every time I hear a show song from the shows ushered Hershey Park, I think of those friends in the good times, how happy I was getting back to that happy old self. So, Holly, you can take that trigger whenever you want to induce a feeling of more joy in your life. Quite possibly just turning on that music is going to bring you into a space. And then what can you do to continue to perpetuate that space or generate that space? Use your triggers, use your supportive tools. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. I love your videos. Bless up. Thank you. You are a beautiful soul. Thank you, Norris. So far, what have you guys gotten from today's talk that has been most impactful so far? We are talking about, we are continuing the series of the seven undeniable principles of excellence. And today we are talking about the importance of relationships and interpersonal skills to nurture those relationships. And all of the things that come up, because you know how we talk and we just go down a rabbit hole about different things. And it brings us into these very interesting places that support the subject matter, but in a very unique way. All of the things we share in this series and today in particular can be so helpful when it comes to developing better relationships, better connection. How do we do that? Right? Taalik says, how can we maintain such a state of inner peace when you're surrounded by peace breakers? Very good question. Okay. Very good question. So we have to be deliberate about this ourselves to be in and entertain. Now, sometimes, let's say it's a work environment, right? You can't necessarily control the toxicity in the work environment if you still work there. You got to go to work. So how do you maintain a space in that? Well, I think something that I've been teaching people, it is about what are your rituals and habits that keep you in a certain energetic space. After a while, believe it or not, you will start to repel that energy. It won't even come around you as often, if at all. When you start to hold a certain energetic space, when you don't entertain the gossip When you don't go to that low vibrational space, what's there to connect with you there? If you're here and it's here, you're missing each other. You're missing each other. So it really does, I think a lot of it comes down to what developmental space you have in yourself that's going to keep you in a certain energetic pattern that won't even be attractive to it. People won't even come around you to entertain it anymore because they know you're not about that. You may be even more proactive and move your desk space. You may be even more proactive and say, you know what, there's no way I'm going to escape this toxic environment. I have to make a new choice and put myself in a different work space. How important is it to you to maintain that peace? And what decisions are you willing to make to get better results? Oh, I love you back. Okay, Shirley, I'm glad you made it today. Thank you, Alex. Yes, that's the Mariah Carey song, Bless Up. Thank you for sharing that, Armani. As you can see, I'll be pushing it. And it's a beautiful song. It's just, created an interesting trigger. Carrie says, that's really important for me to think about a support system, not just being people. Come on. Good. I have felt so lonely lately, but shifting my idea of what can be a support system might be key for me. Come on. I love to hear when these thoughts land because I know it's creating breakthrough. And now you're just charged with continuing to immerse yourself. Remember at the top of the conversation, I said, you don't have to agree with me, but I'm suggesting, try it out. Whenever I want to shift something in my life, whenever I want different results, I immerse myself in the thing that can help me to create the shift. What is the thing? It could be a seminar that I go to, whether in person or virtually. It could be a workshop. It could be books that I read. It could be virtual mentors. We may not have the people in our surroundings that can help us go to the next level. We have to seek them out. And now we live in such an information age that all we got to do is at the click of a button, go to YouTube, go to Vimeo, go to these streaming services, go to these people that are creating content that are going to feed your soul. They're going to save your soul. And constantly go there. Don't compromise until you know you've put yourself in position to support yourself in that space that you can't be so easily wavered. And even when you fall off, get back on. Because we're creatures of habit. And sometimes we need it over and 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 over again. Because guess what? To get you there probably was over and over and over and over. Some of the habits that we need to break, some of the mindsets that we need to shift are so inbred. Some of it even a part of your belief system. Some of us got to go in and tweak our blueprints that we operate from. The belief systems that we have may be outdated. They may no longer serve you anymore. And you're still trying to pull from an old blueprint for a new or fresh situation. It may not work anymore. Miss Rhona talking that real talk. Hello, bless. Shout out to the Mouska Nation. Yes, making yourself available for that energy. Bless. Norris says you always give great advice. Thank you, Norris. Greetings, Marvin, my twin. Bless up, brother. Welcome. Taalik says, understood. However, Coach Ro, we can't always leave a situation. In fact, sometimes negative energy will force itself inside your aura. I don't know if that's all. Well, whatever you choose to believe. Right? I don't know your situation. This is why you take private coaching sessions or with a therapist or get to somebody who can help you see your blind sides. Because maybe you're looking at that from your old blueprint. Maybe you're looking at that from an old mindset. Maybe there's other tools or resources in the ways that you can think about that you can approach that via perspective that would shift what you just said to yourself. I'm not saying it's easy. Nobody's suggesting that any of this is easy. Do you think self-development is easy? I don't necessarily think it's always easy. I think sometimes it can be incredibly challenging. That's why everybody ain't doing it. That's why it's hard to be consistent. That's why it can be hard to be persistent. because there's a mindset, there's habits, there's disciplines that a lot of us need. Maybe you give out gas, you don't do it often enough, you fall off the wagon again, you don't get back on, you don't see the results quick enough, whatever the thing is, because the why isn't strong enough. You got a strong enough why, you will move, you will shift that environment one way or another. Either you shift and the environment, the way you look at it shifts, what comes at you shifts, or you shift literally and move yourself into another position. But that's a choice you have to make. I don't know your situation. You have to look more extensively at your situation and your mindset surrounding your situation. Yeah. Yes. What is that? Full immersion. I love it. So many long distance virtual mentors all day. Some of the most prolific and profound teachers I've had have been long gone. They were virtual mentors. Their information is here to this day. They died back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Reflect and reframe. Speak, Julia. Speak. All right, let's see what else I had. So we've made the resource, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? Don't forget to pick up that book. Don't talk yourself out of opportunity. Learning when to be quiet. Communication is not just about speaking. It's also about being a great listener, being a great witness and observer, being a great student, being a master student, being willing to learn, and knowing that your time will come to shine, to be the teacher even, right? Holly says, takes a lot of reflection. I've learned that even if it does present some setbacks, but you work through those setbacks and continue to grow. Bless up. Tiffany says, I have a force field around myself and make myself unavailable for what I choose to be unavailable for. Right. Is it easy all the time? Not necessarily. But if you got a strong enough why, you can find a way. You probably can find a way to create a better environment for yourself. What do you believe? What habits do you have that are possibly contributing to the results that you see that you don't like? What choices are you afraid to make that could shift the energy for you? Ooh-wee. Self-inventory. Powerful practice. Asking ourselves the right questions to get to the answers we're looking for. And sometimes just asking the question, maybe the answer isn't going to come from you and it come from an outside source, but your willingness to ask the question, your willingness to do the work, your willingness to deal in radical honesty can open your perspective and doors of opportunity and information that you didn't know was available for you. We got to be willing to go for it. Okay, for example, Coach Rowe, in a prison environment or a next door neighbor who is hostile that keeps letting his dog poo in your yard. Yeah, then you have to decide, are you going to stay next door to that neighbor? Or I'll give you a great example. I had a terrible relationship at one point with a neighbor. Okay. When I was in my 20s and, we were partying. We would have, it wasn't crazy, but I was young, vibrant. I liked inviting people over. We played cards, dominoes, listen to music. You feel me? And I had a lady next door who had a son. And so she had a different idea of what she felt her peaceful environment needed to be. She had a different idea of how she wanted her neighbor to, behave in their own place. Okay. And I had a different idea of the life I wanted to lead, and they didn't necessarily correspond. And it got so bad that she came by my house. I want to say one time, I haven't brought this up in a long time. She came by my house. She knocked on my door. Did she commence to curse me out? You feel me? Basically, I'm not feeling her. She ain't like that. Oh my goodness. Right. So we started to have a lot of friction. We had a lot of friction. And one time I was like, is this lady gonna cut me? She was like angry, seething. One time I saw her through her window. She was looking at me and I was like, yo, this is crazy. And I remember watching those court shows where they would talk about like the terrible neighbors and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't want to live a life like that. I don't want a life where I feel like, I'm living next to horrible neighbors and blah, 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 blah. And so guess what? I don't know if this wouldn't have worked or not worked, but my life experience, this is my experience. Doesn't mean it's going to work across the board for everybody else, right? I humbled myself. Whether I thought she was wrong for how she came to me, whether I thought I was right or wrong for how I was accommodating her or not accommodating her. I humbled myself. I sacrificed ego. I went to the store. I got a greeting card. I sat myself down and I wrote a message to her. And I apologized for the noise that had been made, that I realized that, I don't remember, I'm paraphrasing, we don't necessarily see life the same, looking for peace. And I'm sorry that that's not working out between the both of us. See, I've been on my spiritual path for a while, and I said, I got to activate this now. I got to use these tools. I got to sacrifice some ego here, whether I'm right or wrong, whether she's right or wrong. Do you want peace? Is peace more important? Peace was more important to me. I sacrificed my ego for it. I wrote her basically a neighbor love letter. She may not have even deserved it, whatever that means. But what does that mean? What's more important to me in this moment? How do I get the results I'm looking for? I wrote my neighbor a love letter. I gave it to her in a card. Do you know our relationship improved? We never had another moment because that felt like it was respect and care and an openness to their perspective that opened up more connection. What are the results we looking for? And what are you willing to do to get to them? Nora says, I learned to think more before I speak. Bless. Alex says, to be a master student is like a painter observing the craft before his or her ego. Hello, ego. Talk. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Do we talk about ego and saving your soul. Everybody has an ego, folks. Ego, normally when we hear it, it can be coupled with the idea of being egotistical. I don't like to use the same word to describe a word. Having an inflated view of one's self, right? Arrogance. But that's not the only definition or the only understanding that I've been able to gather about what the ego is. The ego is what makes us who we are. The things that color our personality. The traits, the characteristics, the habits, the disciplines, the likes, the dislikes that we have. It doesn't have to be right or wrong, good or bad. It's just how we're layered. That's also something could be considered your ego because it gives us distinction as unique individuals, right? That's it. Just another thought. Don't forget to pick up your soul, saving your soul, if you would like to get some more of this stuff flushed out for you. The concepts. Kevin Brown, how often do we get morning talks with Ro? Every Monday, darling. Can't leave environment in prison, invested in a home. Okay, so in the moment, yes. Now remember, time is time. We're not going to always have what we desire right now. We're not going to always be aware of it in the now. Sometimes we may have a quantum leap in consciousness. We may have a quantum leap in manifestation. But sometimes, remember, I've talked about this before when it comes to manifestation. What are you willing to do to get the results you're looking for? 2 weeks of commitment? 2 years? 20 years? What is it worth you? What is your why? I had a friend of mine that was behind his name, they put deceased, meaning he was never supposed to get out, right? We worked with his mindset. This is me in my 20s as well, 28. We worked with his mindset. I used to write him letters. We talk about his mindset. I used to give him book recommendations. We would talk about constantly living in his imagination. Well, what would life look like if you did this? Well, what would life look like if you did that? Guess what happened? Barack Obama comes along. Who knew he was going to be president? When he went in, Bush was in office. Barack Obama comes along and he sends out that huge pardon for all those prisoners. You guys remember that? He was a part of Who knew that was going to happen? Did he energetically line up with that opportunity? So did it happen immediately? No. Did it happen eventually? Yes. Wow. I hope this is encouraging you guys. Yes, continuous self-inventory, Taalik, such as possible if your environment is comfortable or hostile. Sometimes we can't run away from things. Okay, Taalik, it comes down to what you believe, but I've been giving you a lot of things to stretch your perspective today. I'm not sure if it's helping, but I have definitely been putting things out here just to help you stretch in what else is possible when it comes to how you think about that. And just how much responsibility you give yourself with the choice you make that can position you, hopefully, for the results you're looking for. Hey, James, Julia, totally off subject, but I love a cookbook from you. Yeah, all. If you haven't, you should see some of the items this woman cooks and feeds her soul. Thank you. You know, people have recommended this to me. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I just have so much fun. But you know what? You never know, right? Beautiful. Choosing peace over choosing to be right. Bless. Advice at its finest. Thank you guys for the feedback. I know I'm behind, darlings. Melissa says, I'm learning I can find peace even when I don't get the results I hope for. That is powerful, Melissa. If you want to flesh that thought out in here as to how you still are able to garner peace, generate peace, even when you don't have the results you're looking for, please put it in the chat. Martin King says, yes, your letter to her opened a pathway to healing of the relationship, no matter how light it was. Julia says, speak. Could you imagine if everyone in the world took the time? Man. Alex said, I'll do my very best until I can't. No stopping, period. Bless. I have a chill. Tiffany says, yes. One of my daily questions, what else is possible? Stretch. What else is possible stretches the perspective immediately. It can. Good morning, Facebook user. Is that Janetta or someone else? Linnell says, awesome word. Bless up, honey. I'm glad it's creating an impact. Hey, Queen Annette, what up? We're going to see each other soon. That, hey, darling, good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, and then one last point. I don't know how long I've been talking. How long have I been going? Okay, 48. Not too crazy. And Taalik, if you've gotten some insight or breakthrough based on some of the things I've shared, please put what that impact breakthrough could be based on, some of the things that I said. Have you been able to stretch in perspective about some of the things we've been chopping up today? The last thing about having good interpersonal skills, the importance of relationships, is being able to expand your vocabulary, your ability to articulate yourself. How do we do that? Just exposing yourself to new information can do that. More information, reading. What is the statistic that they said? I learned this statistic years ago, and in this moment, I don't know if it's going to escape me. But what did they say? There's like 80% of people, don't quote me on this, but you'll get the gist of what I'm trying to convey here. There's like 80% of people since they've left high school that maybe read one book a year. They don't read anymore. That last 20%, and I'm about to make up some statistics now, okay? That last 20%, if you're reading 12 books a year, you're like ahead of the class. You're in high achievement mode. That's all it takes to start achieving on a higher level and really shooting past the average person. If you take in more information just through reading books, and there's really no excuses, just results, right? If you don't have the time to pick up the physical book, because sometimes, our brains are so fragmented and we're so used to splitting our energy in so many places, it could be hard to focus. Some people are so antsy. Remember, you got to practice stillness. That's a skill now. It was a skill before, but it's even more of a skill today. Turn on an audiobook. Do it while you work out. Do it while you're cleaning up. Siphon off 30 minutes a day. You spend that on social media, possibly. Pour that back into yourself. Listen to a book. Turn your car into a mobile university. While you drive to work and while you drive home. No excuses, just results. You can stretch your vocabulary, your ability to understand by exposing yourself to more information. If you read fiction, it can help you to be more creative in the words that you use. I mean, even if you read nonfiction, right? You got great writers in both sectors of book writing, but fiction can help us to be even more whimsical, use more delicious words to communicate ourselves, more interesting words, more intricate words, you know, find a fresh way to say something you always say. Expose yourself to different authors, read autobiographies. Stretch yourself in the subject matters that you expose yourself to. Maybe you read a book on engineering over here one day, and the next day you read a book on gardening. Not able, once you finish it, stretch in what you expose your perspective to. Wow, could that help you to cross, you know, to bridge the gap with genres, age, whatever, ethnicities. It can open so many doors to your ability to communicate and connect with people that are of different age brackets, people that are of different culture backgrounds, educational backgrounds. Okay, let's see. Build a vocabulary that is practical for everyday use. Add a new adjective. Bless. I like that. Add a new something. I remember I used to have this app that would come into my email, and it would just give me a new word every day. And you could read the new word and learn a new word and try to use it that day. You know what I mean? There's so many ways that you can stretch. Nerd vibes on deck. Come on, Elijah. Okay. Okay, this is so important. Yes. Watch this later in its entirety. Bless up. Read more outside of school. Me too. I read more now than I did in school. Amen, Ro. Build a vocabulary that is for everyday use. Yes. Read 1 to 3 books. Powerful, Tiffany. Non-negotiable part of my morning routine. Speak. You're gangster with it. Zion, been slow, but absorbing holistic info made my vocabulary blessed. Taalik says, Coach Ro, you speaking in relation to those who are reasonable. You can't reason with the unreasonable. Unfortunately, energy vampires lurking in the shadows we can't avoid. I don't believe that, Taalik. That's your belief system. I don't believe that. Come on to PPU, darling. If you want to be exposed to a fresh perspective about that, and you would like to possibly dig into some spaces, maybe with yourself, that could be a blind spot. It's not, but it could be. And maybe it's keeping you from even greater potential for what you could experience for yourself in life. Maybe you got some limiting beliefs on deck, and it's stopping you from stretching in what else is possible with whatever situation you're talking about. You know? Julia says, where there is a will, there is a way. Nothing is impossible. The will states I'm possible. Ooh, I like that. Thank you. Listen to T.I. Bless up. Alex says, I'm doing exercise while you speak. Super powerful. Yes, Alex, come on. Come on. Brandy says, I know I've been listening to your book. It's been so helpful due to my hectic life as a mom and a caregiver. Bless up, honey. I look forward to your feedback about it all. And don't forget about chapter 10. That's almost like PPU in a chapter. Beth says, I'm taking this all in. I'm on here right on time. Bless up, honey. It's so good to see you. Beautiful content. Thank you, Marcus. I think I just got all talked out. Bless. Do you guys have any questions for me before I get out of here? It has been my pleasure sharing with you from what is the best of me today. The power of relationships, the importance of relationships, building connection through greater vocabulary, building connection through knowing when to be quiet, building connection through learning how to use your body as a meditation so that you can channel that excess energy. Building greater connection, getting greater interpersonal skills on deck through the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Building greater connection and support systems through seeking it out. It may not be in an in-person form. Your support system won't always be people. It could be books. It could be seminars. It can be workshops. It can be megahertz that we talked about, creating triggers in your environment that generate certain feelings that you would like to experience. Being deliberate about creating your success. Being deliberate about the people you entertain in your space. Being deliberate about the energy and the morning routines and the nightly rituals that you engage on a consistent basis that help to shift the results you're looking at. Hi, look at this legend giving us the good vibes. Always bless up, Greg. Thank you. Hey, darling. Alex, what was your why? Getting out of your darkest time. Thank you, Elijah. Let's see. Taalik says, can you send a shout out to my platform, the Realities Temple on Earth Internet Ministry? Our theme this year is After Purge Comes the Heal. Shout out to your platform, Taalik. All the best to you guys with continuing to stretch in perspective, to stretch in what is possible, and to continue to bring healing into the space of yourself and others. Yes. Beth says, I started this recently. I'm trying to read at least 3 books a month. Beautiful. I struggled before. Great content. Thank you, darling. Thank you. It's one of the most powerful things we can do in addition to everything else we're talking about, right? Consuming information at that level catapults you past the average. You are now in extraordinary territory. Just from exposing ourselves to more information, stretched, flexible, diverse information. Queen Annette says, knowing when to be quiet is one of the best things you taught me. I don't have to show up to every fight. Come on. Ooh, I gotta chill. You can talk yourself out of opportunity. You can talk yourself out of a great mentor. There will be a time for you to shine. There will be a time for you to be a teacher, but first get in control of your own perspective, your own body. Get in touch with you through stillness, through pausing, through breath work, through body meditation, through getting comfortable being uncomfortable. You'll know when to speak, and it'll be super purposeful. What's the title of this principle if I missed it? It is the importance of relationships, thriving with interpersonal skills. Okay. Martin King, this has been helpful, Ro, appreciating and nurturing our relationships. Bless up. Bless up. Okay. I'm going to start next Monday to continue this series, Self-Excellence. I hope you have received much gain from this exchange of information and energy and love today. Okay? Until next time, yeah? Let's see. Being loud ain't always to be proud. Okay? Find your moments. Some of the most important things that we can do is to be conscious enough to make those kinds of decisions at such crucial moments. God, the Most High, places you in places sometimes you might not understand. Maybe that's your cue to shh and observe. Be a master. Be willing to learn. Find the power in that position. The student position is extremely powerful. Just like the master position is. Sometimes the novice teaches the master. Sometimes, okay. They're both power positions. Okay, y'all, I just got to chill in my stomach. That overwhelmed me. Okay, you guys, until next time, I'm sending love to everybody. Peace.